The twin suns rose over the horizon of the planet Corellis, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. From orbit, the planet looked peaceful, but beneath the shimmering light, preparations were underway for one of the most important events in the galaxy. The Galactic Peace Summit had been called after decades of cautious interactions among distant worlds, and this year, humans had been invited for the first time. They were young, few in number, and often underestimated. Yet they had accomplished feats that even seasoned starfarers found remarkable. Among the humans was Terran, a young warrior barely 20 cycles old. He had been chosen not for his experience but for his instinct and courage. His dark hair was neatly combed and his uniform fit tightly over his lean frame. Though smaller than many of the veteran soldiers from other planets, there was a quiet determination in his amber eyes. He had trained for years to prepare for this moment, yet nothing in his life could have prepared him for what he was about to face. The summit hall itself was a marvel of engineering. Towering crystalline columns reflected the light of the twin suns, creating patterns that danced across the polished floor. Delegates from hundreds of worlds were already gathered, their forms varied and exotic. Some had wings, some had scales, some seemed to shimmer as if they were made of liquid metal. Yet, despite their differences, a sense of respect and caution united them. Every species knew the stakes. A single mistake could unravel decades of tentative peace. Terran walked with his small human contingent, trying to keep his gaze forward and his pace steady. His mind raced with questions. How should he address the alien delegates? What would they think of humans? He had trained to meet hostile beings in battle, but this was diplomacy, and diplomacy was unpredictable. The humans entered the hall with measured steps. Immediately, several delegates turned to observe them. Some whispered among themselves, their words unfamiliar but curious. Humans had a reputation for resilience, but no one expected their youngest warriors to be present in such an important gathering. Taran felt the weight of those glances, and a shiver of unease ran down his spine. Then she arrived. The Princess of Valora entered the chamber, and the air seemed to shift. She was taller than most of the delegates, with silver skin that gleamed in the sunlight. Her hair floated around her shoulders like threads of starlight, and her eyes glowed softly with a hue that was neither blue nor green, but something in between, impossible to name. She moved with grace, her every step confident, commanding attention without a word. Conversation halted as every being in the hall turned to watch her approach. Terran had heard of the Valorans before. They were an ancient race, wise beyond measure, and renowned across the galaxy for their traditions and their sense of justice. To see their princess in person was awe-inspiring, but it also made Terran feel like a child among giants. He straightened his posture and tried to calm the rapid beating of his heart. The princess stopped at the center of the hall. Her gaze swept slowly over the assembled delegates. It lingered on each group for a few seconds, her eyes sharp and discerning as if she were reading their very thoughts. Whispers rose among the crowd. Many were certain she was simply acknowledging the human presence. Others thought she might be assessing the entire summit herself. But then her eyes found Terran. She paused and pointed directly at him. Taran froze. The room grew quiet as if the very walls held their breath. Her voice rang out clear and unyielding, cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. "He will be mine," she said. Silence followed. Taran's mouth opened, but no sound came. His heart pounded and he felt a strange heat rise in his chest. The phrase was simple, but the meaning was anything but. No one understood immediately what she meant. Some delegates shifted uneasily, exchanging worried glances. The Valoran princess had made a claim, but the tradition was unknown to most present. The human commanders were the first to respond. They approached cautiously, trying to maintain composure. "Your Highness," one began, "we must understand what you mean. Terran is a young warrior. He represents humanity, not any single individual." The princess inclined her head slightly, her eyes never leaving Terran. "He carries the spark," she said softly, her voice a mixture of admiration and certainty. "I will show you why humans are different." The phrase stirred curiosity and unease among the delegates. "The spark," a diplomat murmured, "it is an ancient concept. The Valorans only speak of it in prophecy." Other species leaned closer to one another, speculating in low tones about what it might mean. Terran felt all eyes on him. He had been trained to face alien foes in combat. But diplomacy was a different battlefield. He did not understand what the princess saw in him, and he felt the weight of the hall pressing down on him. Could he stand up to whatever expectation had been placed upon him? Would he fail in front of so many eyes? "Your Highness," the lead human commander said, "if this is some kind of tradition, we request to understand it fully before taking any steps." The princess's gaze softened, and she extended a hand gracefully toward Terran. "There is no threat," she said, "no challenge of battle. This is a trial of spirit, one that has never been attempted by a human. He will walk the path and all will witness. Only then will the truth be known." Terran's legs shook slightly as he took a small step forward. The eyes of the galaxy seemed to be upon him. The hall filled with beings of unimaginable shapes and powers faded into the background. All that mattered was the silver-eyed princess and her assertion that he carried something special. The Council of Worlds, composed of elders and diplomats from each participating species, deliberated quickly. They discussed the possible meanings of the Valoran tradition, the rights of humans, and the implications of the princess's claim. Finally, after tense moments that felt like hours, the head of the council spoke. "The Princess of Valora has invoked a rare tradition," the elder said. "While unusual, we cannot deny the importance of the moment. The human warrior in question shall participate in the trial. This assembly will witness the proceedings and honor the choice of the Valoran princess." A murmur ran through the hall. Terran's stomach tightened. A trial? What kind of trial awaited him? Was it dangerous? Was it a test of skill, mind, or something beyond comprehension? He felt a flicker of fear, but alongside it grew a spark of determination. He had trained for impossible odds before. If the galaxy had chosen him for this, he would not falter. The princess approached Terran, and he noticed a faint smile on her lips. It was not a smile of mockery or dominance. It was a smile of quiet respect, the kind that came from recognizing courage even before it was proven. She said nothing more, simply gesturing for him to follow. As Terran walked behind her toward the ship that would take him to the Valoran flagship, he could not help but glance back at the summit hall. Humans, aliens, and elders alike watched him leave, and he felt the immense responsibility resting on his young shoulders. He knew that the coming days would test him in ways he could not imagine. The twin suns of Keralis shone bright, illuminating the path ahead. Terran walked with measured steps, his heart racing yet steady in resolve. Somewhere inside him, a fire burned, a spark that he did not yet understand, but one that the princess had somehow seen. He did not know what awaited him on the Valoran flagship. He did not know if he would succeed, but he knew that this was a moment that would define not only his life, but the perception of all humans across the galaxy. He would not falter. And as the shuttle lifted off, carrying him away from the planet beneath the twin suns, Terran felt a strange certainty. Whatever the trial was, whatever the princess intended, he was ready to meet it. He was the youngest human warrior, and somehow the galaxy had chosen him for a destiny far greater than he could have ever imagined. The shuttle carrying Terran moved silently through the black expanse of space, its engines humming softly like the heartbeat of a living creature. Outside, stars streaked past in long lines of white, and the twin suns of Keralis faded into the distance. Terran sat upright, his hands clasped tightly in his lap. His mind raced, replaying the words of the Valoran princess over and over. "He will be mine. He carries the spark. What did it mean? Was he chosen for an honor, a challenge, or something else he could not yet understand?" Humans had always prided themselves on courage and ingenuity, but being singled out by an alien princess was unlike anything he had imagined. His fellow humans in the shuttle remained silent, understanding the gravity of the situation without needing words. The Valorans had long been known for their rituals, often strange and mystical to outsiders. The claim of choice was a ceremony that no human had ever experienced. Legends spoke of it in whispers, stories that hinted at trials designed to measure the spirit rather than the body. Terran had faced danger before, but those were physical challenges. This was different. This was personal. The shuttle docked with a smooth hiss at the Valoran flagship, a massive vessel that looked more like a palace than a spaceship. Its surface shimmered with flowing crystal patterns, reflecting light like water on a sunlit lake. Terran stepped out onto the sleek platform, and the sense of awe struck him immediately. The ship's corridors were lined with flowing lights that seemed to respond to movement, shifting and changing as if alive. Every sound was soft and melodic, the echoes of footsteps blending with the hum of energy that pulsed through the walls. The princess waited for him at the entrance. She was more magnificent up close. Her silver skin glimmered faintly under the ambient light, and her eyes seemed to hold the knowledge of centuries. She smiled faintly as Terran approached, a look that was neither threatening nor tender but full of quiet certainty. "Welcome, Terran," she said. Her voice had a musical quality, yet it carried authority. "Do not be afraid. You are here to learn, not to fight. The path ahead will challenge you, but it will also show you why humans are more remarkable than even you may know." Terran bowed slightly, unsure of what was expected. "Thank you, Princess," he said. "I will do my best to honor this chance." She nodded, then gestured for him to follow. They moved through the ship in silence, walking past halls filled with alien flora that glowed faintly in pools of water that reflected floating lights. Every corner of the vessel seemed to be alive with a quiet energy, and Terran felt both small and privileged to be within it. Finally, they reached a large chamber at the heart of the ship. The walls were transparent, revealing a view of the stars stretching endlessly in every direction. In the center, a raised platform of polished crystal awaited. The princess turned to him and spoke softly. "This is where the trial begins," she said. "The trial of harmony measures the spirit and the heart. It tests the courage to face fear, the wisdom to choose wisely, and the ability to remain true to oneself. Few have completed it, even among the Valorans." Terran felt a chill. He had trained for battles with alien creatures, for piloting ships under fire, for survival in hostile environments. Yet this trial was something entirely unknown. He swallowed and nodded. "How do I begin?" he asked. The princess smiled faintly. "Step onto the platform. Close your eyes. Listen to your heart. The trial will take you where you need to go." Terran hesitated only for a moment. Then he stepped forward, feeling the crystal beneath his feet vibrate faintly. The moment his weight settled, the platform glowed, and he felt a gentle warmth spread through his body. Light filled his vision, not harsh but soft, like the rising suns on Corellis. When he opened his eyes again, the chamber had changed. He was no longer on the Valoran ship. The floor beneath him was replaced by clouds, and a landscape stretched out endlessly in every direction. Mountains floated in the distance, and rivers of light wound their way across the sky. The air was filled with a soft, humming energy, and a voice echoed in his mind. "Face what you fear, Terran. Only then will you understand the spark within you." A flicker of doubt rose in him. What could this strange world ask of him that he had not faced before? He took a deep breath and began to walk forward. Soon visions appeared before him. First, he saw his home planet Earth, but it was crumbling and empty. Cities were abandoned, forests burned, and the oceans were dry. He felt the fear of loss, of failure, of helplessness. The vision pressed against him, heavy and suffocating, but he did not stop. He focused on his courage, on the memory of the people he loved, on the knowledge that humans always found a way to rise. The landscape shifted again. This time, he was on a battlefield filled with strange alien creatures. Some were enormous, their eyes glowing like molten gems. Others were quick and invisible, darting through shadows. Terran was surrounded, outnumbered, and yet he did not run. He fought with his instincts, dodging and weaving, using his mind as much as his strength. He realized the trial was not just about bravery. It was about creativity, patience, and the ability to see solutions others might miss. Hours, or perhaps minutes, time felt distorted, passed in the trial. Terran faced countless challenges, some physical, some mental. He confronted illusions of failure, shadows of doubt, and whispers that tried to convince him to give up. Each time he remembered the words of the princess. "He carries the spark." At one point, a figure appeared before him. It was the princess, though not fully real. She looked at him with calm eyes and said, "The spark is not a weapon. It is not strength alone. It is your ability to rise, to endure, and to inspire. That is what makes humans remarkable." Terran felt a warmth in his chest. He understood now that the trial was not about defeating enemies or proving power. It was about proving the resilience of the human spirit. When he finally stepped off the platform in the real chamber, he was trembling but unbroken. The princess regarded him with approval, and the Valoran observers whispered among themselves. "You have done well, Terran," she said. "Few could have endured what you faced. The spark is yours as it has always been. It is the light that cannot be dimmed even in the darkest of times." The human commanders who had accompanied him on the ship stepped forward, their eyes wide with surprise. "We did not expect this," one said. "Your people have shown a strength that cannot be measured by weapons or numbers." "It is something more," the princess nodded. Yes, humans are young, fragile perhaps, but they possess a fire that older races often forget. That fire will guide them far beyond the reaches of this galaxy. Terran felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had passed the trial not by defeating others, but by embracing his own heart. He realized that the claim of the princess was not a possession, but a recognition. She had seen what made humans special, and had chosen to honor it in the only way her traditions allowed. As the shuttle prepared to return him to the summit, Terran reflected on the experience. The galaxy was vast, full of strange worlds and beings, yet humans had a unique place in it. They were not the strongest, nor the fastest, nor the oldest. But their courage, ingenuity, and resilience made them extraordinary. The princess's words echoed in his mind as the stars blurred past the viewport. He carries the spark. For the first time, Terran understood what that meant. Humans had always survived against the odds, rising from challenges that seemed impossible. That same spark had been recognized by an ancient alien race, and it was now his responsibility to carry it forward, not for himself alone, but for all humanity. The summit awaited, but Terran was no longer just a young warrior. He was a symbol, a living proof of what humans could achieve. The galaxy would take notice, and the human story would shine brighter than ever before. And somewhere in the silent depths of space, the Valoran princess watched the shuttle leave, her eyes soft with satisfaction. The claim had been made, the trial completed, and the spark had been seen. The youngest human warrior had proven what she already knew. Humans were extraordinary in ways no one could have predicted. The Valoran flagship drifted silently through the endless stars. Terran stood at the threshold of a new chamber, his heart racing. The room was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was circular, with walls of translucent crystal that pulsed with soft light. The air was warm and filled with a faint hum, like 1,000 voices speaking in harmony. In the center of the room was a platform that floated slightly above the ground. The princess stood beside him, her silver hair shimmering in the gentle glow. "This is the trial of the mind," she said. "It is not a test of strength or speed or skill. It is a test of spirit, of truth, and of endurance. Few beings, even among the Velarans, have completed it. Humans have never attempted it before. You must face it alone, but I will watch." Terran felt a mixture of fear and determination. His hands clenched into fists. "I will do my best," he said. "I am ready." The princess nodded and stepped back. A soft voice filled the chamber, echoing from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Step forward, Terran. Close your eyes and trust yourself. The trial of the mind begins now." He took a deep breath and stepped onto the platform. The crystal beneath his feet vibrated faintly, sending a wave of warmth up his legs. Light enveloped him, soft at first, then bright, until it filled his entire vision. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer on the Velaran ship. He stood in a vast landscape of shimmering colors, a world that seemed to exist between dreams and reality. The sky was filled with shifting stars, and the ground beneath him glowed like molten crystal. A voice spoke in his mind again. "This is the world of your thoughts. Face what you fear. Only then will you understand your spark." The first challenge appeared almost immediately. Terran saw a vision of his home planet, Earth, but it was empty and silent. Cities lay in ruins, forests burned, and oceans were nothing but dry basins. He saw his family and friends wandering alone, scared, helpless. The vision was vivid, almost real, and Terran felt a sharp ache in his chest. He wanted to turn away, to escape the sorrow, but he knew that running would mean failure. He focused on the memory of the people he loved. He remembered the laughter of his friends, the warmth of his home, and the countless moments when humans had faced impossible odds and survived. That memory was like a flame inside him, bright and unyielding. The vision began to fade, replaced by a new challenge. Now Terran found himself in a battlefield unlike any he had known. Strange creatures surrounded him, some towering and muscular, others small and invisible, darting like shadows. Their eyes glowed like molten metal, and their movements were sharp and unpredictable. Terran realized quickly that this was not a physical fight alone. It required thinking, predicting, and finding patterns in the chaos. He dodged and weaved, using his mind to anticipate their moves. He observed, learned, and adapted, turning what seemed like random attacks into opportunities. Every step, every decision mattered. He began to understand the true purpose of the trial. It was not to defeat enemies through force, but to understand the self and the world around him. As he moved through the battlefield, another vision appeared. This one showed him alone in a void, suspended in darkness with whispers that filled his mind. The whispers spoke of failure, doubt, and worthlessness. They told him that humans were weak, that he would never succeed, that he should give up. The darkness pressed against him, cold and suffocating. Terran felt fear rise inside him, but he also felt something stronger. He thought of the princess's words. The spark is within you. He realized that the spark was not just courage or skill. It was resilience. It was the ability to face fear, doubt, and uncertainty without losing himself. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, focusing on that inner flame. Slowly, the darkness receded, the whispers faded, and the void transformed into a field of light. Terran opened his eyes to see a vast meadow stretching endlessly, filled with flowers that glowed with soft, radiant colors. He felt a calm wash over him, a sense of clarity he had never known. A figure appeared in the distance, walking toward him. As it came closer, he realized it was the princess, though not quite real. She was surrounded by a soft light, her eyes calm and steady. "You have done well, Terran," she said. "You have faced your fears and doubts. You have endured challenges that test the spirit. The spark is alive within you because you did not turn away. You faced the impossible and remained true to yourself." Terran felt a warmth in his chest. He understood now that the trial was not about defeating enemies or completing tasks. It was about proving the strength of the human spirit, the ability to persevere, and the courage to remain authentic even when everything seemed lost. The visions shifted one last time. He saw humans across the galaxy, small and fragile compared to other species, yet resilient, creative, and determined. He saw how they had survived wars, natural disasters, and countless challenges, always finding a way to rise. He realized that the spark the princess had seen was not just his own. It was the spark of all humans, a light that burned brightly even in the darkest moments. When the visions finally faded, Terran was back on the crystal platform of the Valoran chamber. He was trembling, exhausted, yet filled with a sense of accomplishment. The princess stood before him, her eyes filled with quiet pride. "You have completed the trial of the mind," she said. "Few have ever done so. The spark within you is strong, and it will guide you and your people to greatness. Remember, Terran, the greatest strength is not in power or speed, but in the ability to rise again and again, no matter the odds." The Valoran observers, who had watched silently, nodded in approval. Whispers of admiration passed through the chamber. Even the most experienced Valorans had been impressed by the resilience and determination of the young human warrior. Terran's commanders stepped forward, their expressions a mix of pride and amazement. "We knew humans were brave," one said, "but this is something extraordinary. He has faced challenges no other being has endured and emerged stronger." The princess smiled faintly. "Humans are young, fragile perhaps, but they possess a fire that older races often forget. That fire is their spark. It is the gift that will allow them to shape the galaxy in ways others cannot." Terran felt a sense of humility and responsibility. He realized that this trial was not only about him, it was about all humans and the recognition of their unique potential. The spark was a symbol of hope, courage, and resilience. It was something that could inspire others, something that could unite and guide his people across the galaxy. As he stepped off the platform, the chamber returned to its normal state. The soft hum of energy remained, a reminder of the trial he had completed. Terran felt a newfound confidence. He was no longer just a young warrior. He was a symbol, a living proof of the human spirit and its unyielding strength. The princess placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch gentle but firm. "You have proven what I already knew. Humans are extraordinary. Carry this knowledge with pride and let it guide you in the days to come." Terran nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He understood now that the trial had not been about winning or losing. It had been about recognizing the potential within himself and his people. It had been about discovering the spark that made humans special. As he left the chamber, Terran looked out at the stars through the walls of the flagship. He felt a connection to the galaxy, to the beings he had seen in the visions, and to the countless challenges that awaited humanity. The trial had shown him that no matter the odds, humans could rise. They could endure, adapt, and inspire. And somewhere in the quiet depths of the flagship, the Valoran princess watched him go, her eyes soft with satisfaction. The trial had been completed and the spark had been revealed. Terran was no longer just a human warrior. He was a beacon, a reminder that even the youngest and seemingly weakest could shine brighter than the stars. The shuttle awaited, ready to return him to the summit. As Terran prepared to leave, he felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. The next steps would be crucial. The galaxy was watching, and humans had a place among the stars that no one could ignore. For the first time, Terran understood the true meaning of the princess's words. He carries the spark. It was not a burden or a possession. It was a gift, a recognition of the resilience, courage, and unyielding spirit of humanity. And with that knowledge, he stepped forward, ready to face whatever challenges awaited, carrying the spark that would light the path for his people across the galaxy. The Valoran flagship sailed silently through the endless darkness of space. Stars glimmered outside like scattered jewels, their light reflected in the crystalline walls of the ship. Taran walked alongside the princess through a corridor that seemed alive with faint, shifting patterns of light. He felt a quiet awe at the elegance of the ship, yet his mind was filled with curiosity. The trial of the mind had changed him, but he still did not fully understand the reason he had been singled out. The princess led him to a large chamber at the heart of the vessel. The walls were made of crystal, but here the light seemed warmer, almost alive, as if the room itself breathed. In the center stood a pedestal with a glowing sphere of light swirling gently. Taran felt drawn toward it, sensing that it held answers to the questions in his heart. "You have completed the trials," the princess said softly, her voice echoing slightly in the chamber. "You have proven that the spark within you is real, but there is more you must understand. It is not enough to see it within yourself. You must see why it matters to the galaxy." Taran stepped closer to the pedestal, his eyes fixed on the glowing sphere. "Princess," he said, "I have felt the spark, and I understand that it is something unique about humans. But why me? Why did you choose me?" The princess's silver eyes softened. "It is not only about you, Taran, it is about your people. The Valorans have lived for countless centuries. We are wise and strong, but we have lost something. We have grown perfect in knowledge and skill, but stagnant in spirit. We no longer dream as freely as we once did. We no longer rise from weakness because we fear imperfection. We watch, we judge, and we calculate, but we do not ignite the world with our spirit as you do." Taran listened carefully, trying to absorb her words. He had always believed humans were ordinary, fragile in comparison to the great alien races he had read about. But now he realized that their greatest strength was not physical, not technological, not even political. It was something deeper. It was the ability to endure, to hope, to rise even when everything seemed impossible. "You carry what we lost," the princess continued. "The spark is not just bravery or cleverness. It is the fire to dream, to change, to inspire. It is a light that refuses to be dimmed. In humans, I see it everywhere. I have seen it in you, Taran. That is why I chose you. You are a reflection of your people's spirit, and through you, we may remember what has been forgotten." Taran felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had faced unimaginable challenges in the trials, yet he now understood that the spark he had carried was not his alone. It was the spark of humanity, a force that could shape the galaxy. The princess gestured toward the glowing sphere. "This is a vision of what lies ahead. It will show you the role humans can play, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as beacons. Look closely." Taran stepped forward and placed his hands near the sphere. The light swirled faster and images appeared within it. He saw human ships exploring distant stars, small yet determined. Colonies thrived on planets far from Earth, and humans worked alongside alien races, not just as warriors but as builders, explorers, and leaders. He saw humans facing danger with courage, solving impossible problems with creativity, and inspiring other species to rise beyond fear. The vision shifted, showing the Valorans. He saw their people ancient and powerful, yet restrained by fear of imperfection. Their cities were flawless, their technology advanced, but their spirit lacked the vitality that humans carried naturally. The contrast was clear. Humans were young, fragile perhaps, but alive with potential, and that potential was contagious. The princess turned to him. "The galaxy needs this spark. It needs beings who can face uncertainty and yet move forward. It needs those who can rise from weakness and inspire hope. Humans can do this because they are not bound by perfection. They are free in spirit. And you, Taran, are the first to show the Valorans that our knowledge and wisdom are not enough without heart." Taran took a deep breath. He felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. It was not just about him. It was about his people, his home, and the future of humanity across the stars. He had been chosen not to lead in battle alone, but to represent the potential of humans, to show the galaxy that their spirit was a force to be reckoned with. "Princess," he said quietly, "I understand now. The spark is not something I own. It is something I carry for all humans. I will do my best to honor it." The princess smiled, a faint glimmer of warmth in her silver eyes. "That is all that is required. Courage, resilience, and heart. That is what humans have, and that is why you will be remembered. Not as a soldier, not as a warrior, but as a light that shows the galaxy what your people can become." Suddenly, the chamber began to shift. The walls of crystal seemed to expand, and the glowing sphere rose into the air, illuminating the entire room. Images of countless humans from across the galaxy appeared, showing their struggles and triumphs. He saw humans exploring frozen worlds, surviving storms, discovering new life, and helping other species in times of need. Each image was a testament to the spark. Terran felt tears prick at his eyes. He realized that the trials had been more than tests. They had been a lesson. The Valorans had created a way to show him that humans were extraordinary, not in weapons or strength, but in spirit. Every human who had faced the impossible and risen again carried this spark. And now he was part of that story. The princess placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "Remember this moment, Terran. You are young, but your actions will echo across the galaxy. Humans are not here to be dominated or controlled. They are here to shine, to inspire, and to awaken the fire in others. That is the secret of the spark. It cannot be taken, only recognized and nurtured." Terran nodded. His mind swirled with possibilities. The galaxy was vast, filled with powerful civilizations, yet humans had a unique place within it. They were not invincible, but their resilience, creativity, and courage gave them a power that few could match. "You must return to your people," the princess continued. "Share this understanding. Inspire them. Help them realize that their greatest strength is not in weapons or armies, but in their spirit. That is why you were chosen. That is why the spark exists." Terran took a deep breath and felt a calm determination settle over him. He had been tested, shown the truth, and now he carried a responsibility far greater than he had ever imagined. The spark was not a burden, but a gift, a light to guide humanity through challenges and uncertainty. The princess guided him to a viewing platform that overlooked the galaxy. "Look," she said. "See how many worlds await your people. See the challenges, the opportunities, and the potential. Humans can rise to meet all of it, and the spark will be their guide." Terran gazed out at the stars, feeling a connection he had never felt before. Every distant planet, every alien species, every possibility of the future seemed within reach. He realized that humans were not the youngest or weakest of civilizations. They were pioneers capable of hope, courage, and change. And that spark, fragile yet unyielding, was what made them extraordinary. The princess watched him silently. She had claimed no ownership over him, only recognition. She had seen the potential and chosen to honor it. "The galaxy is watching, Terran," she said softly. "And through you it will see the light of your people. Carry it well." Terran turned to her, a sense of gratitude and resolve in his eyes. "I understand, Princess. I will carry the spark and I will show the galaxy what humans can do." She nodded. "Then our work is done here. The trials have ended and the secret of the spark has been revealed. The rest is yours to write." As Terran left the chamber, he felt a new strength within him. The trials had tested his mind and spirit, but they had also shown him the true purpose of humanity. The spark was not a secret to hide, but a light to share. It was proof that even the youngest and smallest of beings could illuminate the darkest corners of the galaxy. The Valoran princess watched him leave, her silver eyes reflecting the stars outside. The secret of the spark had been revealed, and the youngest human warrior had proven that his people were extraordinary. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. Terran walked through the corridors of the flagship, his heart steady, his mind clear. He carried the spark not as a burden, but as a guiding light. He had seen the truth, understood the responsibility, and was ready to face whatever challenges awaited. Humanity had a future among the stars, and he was now a symbol of their unyielding spirit. As the shuttle prepared to return him to the summit, Terran looked out at the galaxy, feeling a connection to every world, every life, and every possibility. The spark was alive, and through it, humans would rise. And somewhere in the quiet depths of space the princess smiled, knowing that the spark she had recognized in a young human warrior would ignite a flame that could never be extinguished. The shuttle descended from the Valoran flagship, returning Terran to the planet Corallus. The twin suns rose again over the horizon, casting warm golden light across the summit hall. Terran's footsteps were steady as he walked down the ramp, his uniform neat, his eyes calm. He no longer felt the nervous tension that had gripped him when he first arrived. He had faced trials that tested his mind and spirit. He had seen the spark within himself and his people, and now he was ready to share what he had learned. The summit hall was buzzing with conversation. Delegates from across the galaxy discussed policies, trade agreements, and alliances. The humans had returned to the floor, and whispers of curiosity and speculation followed Terran's every step. The Princess of Valora waited at the center of the hall, her silver skin glimmering under the light. Her gaze met Terran's, calm and approving, and he felt a sense of reassurance. Terran approached the Council of Worlds where leaders of the galaxy had gathered. He had been chosen to speak not as a soldier, not as a warrior, but as a symbol of humanity. The hall quieted as he stepped forward. Every eye turned to him, filled with curiosity, respect, and anticipation. He took a deep breath and spoke clearly. "Honored leaders and delegates, I have returned from the Valoran flagship, and I carry a message. Humans are not the strongest or the oldest of civilizations, but we possess something unique. We have faced challenges, survived the impossible, and risen from adversity. That is our spark, and it guides us in all that we do." The hall remained silent for a moment, letting his words sink in. Many delegates nodded slowly, realizing the truth in what he said. Humans had always been underestimated, yet time and again they had proven that their spirit was unyielding. Terran continued, "The Valorans have shown me that this spark is not only within me, it is within all humans. It is the courage to face fear, the creativity to solve impossible problems, and the resilience to rise even when everything seems lost. That is why humans have a place among the stars. We do not seek to dominate or conquer, but to inspire and to build, to rise together with other species and shape a future filled with hope and possibility." The princess stepped forward, her presence commanding yet gentle. "The human warrior speaks the truth. The spark you see in him is not his alone. It is the essence of his people. Humans are young, perhaps fragile, but their spirit is unmatched. They remind us that even the smallest and youngest can light the way for all others." A wave of applause rose from the summit hall. Delegates from other species nodded in recognition, some with surprise, others with admiration. For many, it was the first time they truly understood the potential of humanity. They had seen the courage and resilience of humans in stories and history. But Terran's words and the trials he had completed made the truth undeniable. Terran looked at the faces of the gathered leaders and delegates. He felt a profound responsibility. The spark was not just a personal achievement. It was a promise, a light that must be carried forward by all humans, and he would make sure that promise was honored. Over the next few days, the summit shifted. Human proposals were listened to with respect. Ideas were discussed seriously, and humans were invited to participate in projects and alliances that had once seemed out of reach. Terran watched with pride as his people gained recognition not through power, but through the demonstration of their courage, ingenuity, and determination. The Princess of Valora spent time observing humans as they interacted with other species. She smiled quietly to herself as she saw them solve complex problems, negotiate peacefully, and face challenges with calm determination. Every action, every choice reflected the spark she had recognized in Terran. She knew that humans had a unique role to play in the galaxy. They were not just participants. They were beacons, guiding others through uncertainty and challenge. Terran himself was busy with duties that stretched his abilities in new ways. He helped mediate discussions between species, assisted in planning exploration missions, and offered insights into human problem-solving. Other species began to seek him out, not because he was a warrior, but because he carried a perspective shaped by resilience, creativity, and heart. One evening, Terran stood alone on the observation deck of the summit hall. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. He gazed at the stars, thinking about the trials, the princess, and the spark within him. He realized that the spark was not a single moment of bravery or a single act of courage. It was a continuous flame, growing brighter as humans faced challenges and rose above them. The princess appeared beside him quietly. "You understand now," she said softly. "The spark is alive in your people, and through you it shines across the galaxy. Humans are not here to be underestimated. They are here to lead not with force but with heart." Terran nodded. "I understand, Princess. The spark is a responsibility, not just a gift." "I will carry it, and I will help others see it too." The princess smiled faintly. "And in doing so, you will inspire all of us. Remember, Terran, the galaxy is vast, and there are countless challenges ahead. But with the spark, humans will rise, and they will light the way for others." Days turned into weeks, and the summit concluded with agreements that reshaped the alliances of the galaxy. Humans were now recognized as equal partners, not merely newcomers or observers. Their courage and ingenuity had earned them respect, and their potential promised a future full of discovery and inspiration. Terran returned to his people, carrying not only the approval of the council, but the vision of the Valoran princess. He shared what he had learned from the trials and spoke of the spark that burned within all humans. His words inspired hope, courage, and determination. Humans began to see themselves differently. They understood that their strength was not in domination, but in resilience, creativity, and heart. Exploration missions were launched to distant planets. Humans worked alongside alien species, solving problems, building communities, and discovering new worlds. Each success reflected the spark, proving that humans were more than capable, even when measured against the galaxy's oldest and most powerful civilizations. Terran remained a symbol. He was no longer just the youngest human warrior. He was a beacon, proof that courage, spirit, and determination could achieve what brute strength could not. Stories of his trials spread across the galaxy, told by aliens and humans alike. They spoke of the young human who faced unimaginable challenges, endured trials that tested his mind and spirit, and emerged with a light that inspired the galaxy. The Princess of Valora watched these stories with quiet pride. She had claimed no ownership over Terran. She had recognized the spark and helped it shine. Through him, she had reminded her own people of what was possible when spirit and courage guided action. And through humans, the galaxy began to change, seeing that true power came from heart and resilience. One evening, as Terran stood under the light of the twin suns on Keralis, he felt a quiet warmth in his chest. The spark was alive. It had survived trials, challenges, and doubt. It was a light that could never be extinguished. He understood now that humanity's future was not defined by size, age, or strength alone. It was defined by the fire within, the spark that could rise against any challenge and the courage to face the unknown. He knew that the path ahead would not be easy. The galaxy was vast and full of uncertainty, but with the spark humans would rise. They would explore, create, inspire, and endure. And through it all, the light of humanity would shine brightly, guiding others, showing that even the youngest and smallest among the stars could make a difference that echoed across worlds. The Valoran princess's words echoed in his mind. "The galaxy is watching, and through you it will see the light of your people." Terran smiled. He was ready. Humans were ready. And somewhere among the stars, the princess watched silently, her silver eyes reflecting distant galaxies. The claim had been made, the trials completed, and the spark revealed. Humanity's journey had only begun, but the flame had been lit, and it would burn across the galaxy for generations to come. As the twin suns of Keralis dipped below the horizon, Terran felt a sense of peace. The spark was alive within him and his people. He had faced fear, endured trials, and discovered the secret that made humans extraordinary. Now it was time to carry that spark beyond the stars, to inspire, to lead, and to light the way for all who would follow. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of the youngest human warrior, and through him, it had witnessed the true power of the human spirit. Terran took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the twin suns and the vastness of the universe before him. He knew that the journey would continue, full of challenges, discoveries, and adventures. But he also knew that with the spark, humans would endure, rise, and shine brighter than ever before. The flame of humanity had been ignited, and the galaxy would never forget it.